Cold case investigators say they've finally identified the Zodiac Killer. Who was the Zodiac Killer? How Gary Francis Poste was caught as cold case investigators reveal identity. The 1960s San Francisco serial killer murdered 5 people, but has also been connected to dozens of other killings in California. For more than half a century, the Zodiac Killer case has been a mystery both police and armchair murder investigators alike have been desperate to solve. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to Crime Busters 101. I post solved and unsolved and crime-related topic on a weekly basis and also true crime and murder documentaries, so if that's something that might interest you, please subscribe and hit that notification button. Now back to the video. The serial killer murdered 5 people in and around the U.S. city of San Francisco between 1968 and 1969. The anonymous criminal then taunted the authorities and the Californian public with coded letters they sent to local newspapers. Ever since, the Zodiac Killer has become something of a cultural icon, inspiring fictional characters, as well as entire films and TV shows, including recent Disney Plus documentary series The Most Dangerous Animal of All. In October 2021, a cold case investigation team known as the Casebreakers claimed to have successfully unmasked the serial killer as Gary Francis Poste. But who is he, and who were his alleged victims? Robert Graysmith used to work at the San Francisco Chronicle and has written books on the Zodiac Killer. Who is Gary Francis Poste? Gary Francis Poste was a former U.S. Air Force serviceman who was brought up in California. He died aged 80 years old in August 2018. Local media reports suggest Poste was a violent man. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, the newspaper was contacted 6 years ago by a male relative of Poste who said he lived in the town of Groveland, around 150 miles from San Francisco. This relative accused Poste of being the Zodiac Killer and of having tried to kill him with a hammer. Gary Francis Poste lived in rural California. When the newspaper contacted Californian police, the authorities said there didn't appear to be a connection between Poste and the Zodiac Killer. Poste's daughter-in-law, Michelle Wynn, also accused him of being the serial killer, the paper said. Ms. Wynn said she had moved away from California to ensure she was safe from Poste. In January 2022, the U.S. version of The Sun obtained a police report which documented how Poste pushed his wife Mary, then aged 74, into a wall and broke her pelvis in 4 places in 2016. The news organization also revealed the incident caused U.S. authorities to lock him up in a mental health facility because it was found he was too mentally incompetent to face a trial. Had he gone in front of a jury, Poste could well have been sent to prison. The Zodiac Killer has both terrified and fascinated the city of San Francisco for more than half a century. How was the Zodiac Killer identified? Despite the police's insistence he isn't their man, the Casebreakers, a group of more than 40 former police investigators, journalists, and military intelligence officers, argues Gary Francis Poste is the Zodiac Killer. The team said it had based its case on forensic evidence, photos found in Poste's own darkroom, and on some of the serial killer's coded notes. The forensic evidence proved Poste killed Sherry Jo Bates, the group claimed. Bates was murdered by an unknown killer in 1966. Those who have followed the case closely believe Bates's death was the work of the Zodiac Killer, although the San Francisco Chronicle has reported that this theory has been rejected by local police. Poste has also been said to bear a resemblance to a 1969 police sketch of the serial killer, as he had similar distinctive scars on his forehead. And the letters of his name were found to change the meaning of ciphers the serial killer had sent in letters to newspapers, suggesting Poste was the killer. However, the Casebreakers' findings have been dismissed by local police and the FBI, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. The San Francisco office of the FBI told the newspaper that the Zodiac Killer case remained open. On November 2021, the Casebreakers followed up their claims by saying they had discovered a goldmine of evidence in California. In a statement, The team said it had discovered that Poste had given away weaponry, including pistol parts, gunpowder, and shell casings, to friends and relatives in the lead up to his death. Most of these peculiar gifts have remained in basements and closets, untouched, ever since, the casebreakers claimed. The team said it had sent this evidence to private forensic labs in 3 U.S. states. It also alleged Poste had at one time been the leader of a group of young men he had trained up to become what the casebreakers described as killing machines. The men, who were in their late teens and early 20s, were believed to have been known as the Posse and were said to have killed animals for pleasure, the New York Post reported. What did the Zodiac Killer do? The Zodiac Killer killed 5 people in the San Francisco area in the late 1960s and then sent taunting coded letters to local newspapers. The victims were either shot or stabbed. These are their names: David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, Paul Stein. Ferrin and Shepard's partners, Michael Mageau and Brian Hartnell, survived the attacks they were subjected to. All the victims were young couples in their teens or early 20s, apart from Stein, who was a 29-year-old taxi driver. The killer has been linked to several other cold cases and claimed in one letter to have murdered 37 people. But this claim is unproven. The serial killer followed up each murder with letters and cryptograms they sent to local newspapers. These sometimes contain threats, including a plot to kill a busload of school children. The letters all opened with the phrase "This is the Zodiac speaking," spawning the Zodiac Killer moniker, and were typically signed off with what appeared to be the crosshairs of a gun. These letters stopped appearing in 1970, and speculation about the murderer's identity has been rife ever since. The police have only ever officially named one suspect in the case, convicted child molester Arthur Lee Allen. Allen was picked out of a police lineup by one of the Zodiac Killer's attempted victims and owned a watch carrying the crosshair symbol. He reportedly made a partial confession about carrying out the murders to a friend, but died of a heart attack in 1992 before a case could be built against him. Another man, a former journalist named Richard Gaikowski, has also become an unofficial suspect among armchair investigators. While Gaikowski had an alibi at the time, a recent documentary broadcast by RTE in Ireland questioned its veracity. There is a long-standing joke that prominent Republican Senator Ted Cruz is the murderer, a claim he has played up to on Twitter through memes. The Zodiac Killer has spawned many pop culture references, including the 1971 Clint Eastwood film Dirty Harry and 2007 Jake Gyllenhaal, Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr. vehicle Zodiac. Paul Dano's character in the latest incarnation of the Batman franchise, the Batman, is also believed to have been inspired by the serial killer. While the most recent thinking has Gary Francis Poste nailed on as the Zodiac Killer, a series that launched on Disney Plus in the UK and Ireland in July argues a different person is the serial killer. Based on a 2014 New York Times bestseller of the same name, The Most Dangerous Man of All is a 4-part documentary series about a man who claims to have found strong evidence that the Zodiac Killer is his biological father. Gary L. Stewart was given up for adoption as a child. But when his birth mother first got in contact with him at the age of 39 years old, a decade-long search for his father, Earl Van Best Jr., uncovered evidence which appeared to line him up with the serial killer. Thank you for watching Crime Busters 101. I post solved and unsolved and crime-related topic on a weekly basis, so if that's something that you are interested in, please subscribe and hit that notification button.